This group of criminals posed as staff members to infiltrate the lobby and eliminated the security guards. Next, their accomplices entered the surveillance room, easily overpowered the guards on duty, and cut off all monitoring equipment. With everything settled, they calmly began loading cash onto their vehicle. But things were not that simple. Patrol Officer Sean happened to drive past the bay. Sensing that the lobby was unusually quiet, he decided to get out and investigate. He was completely unaware that he was being watched by a lookout. Although the accomplices quickly disposed of the guards' bodies, a pool of blood remained on the floor. Sean immediately realized a crime had taken place. Just as he was calling for backup, he suddenly saw someone aiming a gun at him through the glass. Under heavy suppressive fire, Sean was unable to fight back. At that moment, the ringleader began to panic, since hacking into the Federal Reserve System would take another 5 minutes. The leader decided to betray his crew. He ordered 2 unsuspecting accomplices to drive the armored truck out to distract the police. Before they departed, a female robber secretly planted a bomb on the vehicle. As Sean engaged in a fierce gunfight with the robbers outside, the armored truck suddenly charged out. Seeing cash flying everywhere, Sean was completely stunned, but this was exactly the effect the leader intended. The backup police cars were hesitant, unsure of the situation. Meanwhile, the criminal leader raised his gun and aimed out the window. However, his target was not Sean, because the hacker had already successfully breached the Federal Reserve System. The leader wanted to leave no evidence behind. Therefore, he chose to personally kill his partners before leaving to eliminate any future trouble. Although the police quickly surrounded the area, the robbers were prepared. They opened an iron gate, slipped into a tunnel, and escaped.
Every one of these kids wears a metal collar on their head. They can never take it off, not while studying, writing, or even eating, because they're not normal children. They're zombies. The moment they smell human flesh, they mutate. In the future, humans capture and study a second generation of zombies. Unlike regular ones, these children can talk, think independently, and are even smarter than normal kids. Take Melanie, the main character, for example. Every morning, she calmly rolls herself into her wheelchair, carefully adjusts the straps, and waits for the soldiers to arrive. When they come in, she politely greets them. She obediently lets them restrain her, even reminding them to double-check the locks. But the soldiers never respond. They never talk to her. They never touch her directly. In this entire base, no one treats them like human beings. Except one person, their gentle teacher, Miss Justineau. Every day, she teaches the zombie children the periodic table and other human knowledge. Sometimes she secretly chats with them and tells them stories. Melanie especially adores her, but the kids don't know why they're learning human things. They only know that every night, a doctor comes to test them. Melanie always gets every answer right. After one test, the doctor asks her to choose a number. She randomly picks one.
13.
Thank you.
Satisfied, the doctor leaves. The next day, Melanie goes to class as usual, but quickly notices something is wrong. Student number 13 is missing. She asks the teacher where number 13 went. For the first time, Miss Justineau hesitates and avoids the question. Melanie instantly understands. The doctor took him away.
I just stuck an ordinary stone into the ground. Then I placed some loose change around it and smeared it with red paint. 10 minutes later, a long line had already formed here. People mistook it for a god. They came to pray and donate money. Some even lay flat on the ground to bow and worship, because in India, worshipping gods has long become part of everyday life for everyone. But in fact, all of this was a complete scam. Those fraudsters made a fortune by dressing up fake gods like this. Yet no one ever discovered the truth, until my appearance finally exposed all these scams, not long ago. I came to Earth from a distant planet with a mission to observe human society. But just as I stepped off my spaceship, I ran into an old man. When he saw the gemstone necklace around my neck, he became greedy. So he snatched it away in one move, then got into a car and drove off. But that gemstone necklace was actually the only remote control that could take me back to my planet. Now that it was gone, I completely became an alien stranded on Earth, because I could not understand the language, and did not know that humans needed to wear clothes. So in order to adapt to Earth, I took a piece of clothing from a dancing car. But when I entered the crowd, I was laughed at by everyone. It turned out I was wearing a skirt on my lower body. From that moment on, I finally understood that men clothes were different from women clothes. One day I found a piece of paper in my wallet. On it was printed an old man wearing glasses. After careful observation, I discovered this thing could be exchanged for carrots. And I also realized that to survive in this world, this piece of paper was extremely important. So I began collecting paper with the glasses wearing old man printed on it everywhere. I thought I would be able to trade for lots of carrots. But when I arrived at a stall and handed the paper to the vendor, he was completely confused. Only at that moment did I finally understand that only that specific piece of paper could be exchanged with others. So every day I would take money and clothes from the dancing car. And I did not care about anything else at all. But if I wanted to get my remote control back, I realized I had to learn the language of this world. Otherwise, I could not do anything. For example, when I wanted to remind someone their pants were stuck. Because I could not speak, I could only use my hands to help. But after doing all that, I felt like I might have ruined his fashion. So I stuffed the pants back in again. But this seemed to make him very angry. The next second, he kicked me to the ground. Seeing things were going bad, I immediately turned and ran. Luckily, he ran out of strength and gave up after chasing for a short while. But right at that moment, a car crashed straight toward me.
The man had just embraced his wife.
She wants me to kill you.
What?
When she suddenly pulled out a gun and shot him in the stomach, he collapsed in disbelief. But Penny stayed calm, knowing there were snipers watching them. She had to pretend her husband was dead. Soon, a female assassin arrived to dispose of the body. Penny quickly assessed the situation and waited for the right moment. When the older man blocked the sniper's line of sight, Rebel quickly grabbed the female assassin's gun, pinned her to the ground, and took her out with one shot. The gunshot caught the sniper's attention, but she seemed to lose her target in the process. After scanning the area, she finally spotted the errant figure. On the other side, the man, who had just been shot, was startled awake by the gunfire. The body of the female assassin beside him almost scared him to death again. Soon, a sharp pain in his stomach reminded him of what had happened. His wife had told him she would shoot him in a non-vital area to make him appear dead. She had indeed taken care of several assassins. Now, she was leading him to safety. Another assassin appeared ahead, and Rebel quickly killed him. The man was stunned. How could his seemingly ordinary housewife kill so effortlessly? Not long after, another assassin appeared in the distance. Penny told him to hide behind the car. He was terrified, but his wife quickly took out the assassin. It was then that he realized his wife had been a top-tier professional killer before marrying him.
This is a villa hidden in the forest. The moment the front door closed, the villa vanished without a trace. Inside there were enough supplies for two people to live for 10 years. They could clearly observe everything outside through the glass, but people outside could not detect the villa's existence. They thought they could live a carefree life here, but at night after they fell asleep, their pet rabbit quietly slid out through the dog door. It was this rabbit that brought them a huge crisis. Late at night, the sleeping woman was suddenly awakened by a loud noise. She quickly grabbed the weapon by her bed. Clearly, this villa was not supposed to be discoverable, yet the person outside seemed to be able to see them. Every strike landed precisely where the woman was located. Fortunately, the glass was strong enough. It completely withstood the first wave of attack. Just as the two sighed in relief, their rabbit suddenly came in from outside. The enemy's attack followed immediately. After several minutes of assault, the person outside fled. The rabbit was not so lucky. The woman hugged the rabbit and swore to make them pay. It turned out the two women were once a top thief duo, but years in the business had made them weary of that life, and they had enough savings to last a lifetime. So they told their boss they wanted to quit, but the boss was unwilling to let his money-making tools go, so he refused their request. That's why they built this invisible villa and moved in with their beloved rabbit. Clearly, the boss had no intention of letting them go easily.
Wait! And no!
The accident left the woman without an arm, yet she couldn't bear the sight of her disfigured reflection. Her husband planned to design a prosthetic arm for her, but she had an even wilder idea.
Can you make it out of gold?
We can't afford that.
Please make it out of gold.
He had to sell all his possessions to gather enough gold and forge a golden arm for her with his own hands. She became utterly obsessed with this golden limb. She never parted from it thereafter, yet she never imagined that it would lead to her downfall.
The tests have come in that it is pulmonary gold disease. You've got to take off that prosthetic.
The doctor warned her that, unless it was removed, the arm would kill her. However, she would rather die than part with it.
Promise me something. When I die, bury me with my golden arm. Say it.
On her deathbed, she begged her husband, after her death, "Let this golden arm be buried with me." He agreed. He laid her to rest with her golden arm. However, crushing debts forced him to break his promise. When he returned to the grave to steal the arm, an accident occurred.